everybody, my name is Sophie and welcome to my book nook. Try to ignore the dog barking outside. He's crazy. How are you guys doing? I don't know about you, but it's a beautiful day where I am, despite the fact that it just snowed yesterday. I think spring's finally here though. One can only hope. Have you been reading anything good lately? Because I have. And that's what I'm going to talk with you about today, because this is going to be a review. And what am I reviewing? That would be The Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. This book just came out last week, April 14th. I was lucky enough to get an advanced copy from the publisher. And I was so happy about that because I read the prequel to this. I read The Friend Zone. And before I continue, if you haven't read The Friend Zone and you want to read The Friend Zone, you should stop this video now because I will be talking about what happened in that and I don't want to spoil anything for you. So let's start this. I'm going to put this book down and I'll pull it up more later. So, Sloan Monroe is 26 years old. She is an artist, a fantastic artist, but she doesn't paint what she wants to anymore. She also loves to cook, but she hasn't cooked in 2 years. What happened 2 years ago, you might be wondering? Her fiancé, the man she was supposed to spend the rest of her life with, the one she was supposed to grow old with and have a family with, was in an accident. He was in a motorcycle accident that left his body broken, and he was in a coma for a month before he had a stroke that left him brain dead. Brandon never woke up, and Sloan hasn't been the same. She's been consumed in her grief, hardly leaving the house, not really taking care of herself and just getting by. Her best friend Kristen and Kristen's husband Josh, who was Brandon's best friend, have been taking care of Sloan as much as possible, being there for her whenever she needs them, almost to the point of smothering her. She finally put a stop to that and told them they could only come over once a week for dinner instead of every night. Sloan hasn't really wanted to move on. But things change when, on the 2-year anniversary of Brandon's accident, on her way to the cemetery to visit his grave, a dog is standing in the middle of the road. She stops her car and she gets out, and this little dog is going crazy, and there's cars beeping at her to start driving again, and this dog jumps on her windshield, jumps up onto her roof and into her car through the sunroof. She's shocked, to say the least. She gets in her car and is trying to figure out what the heck is going on with this dog, and then a police vehicle comes up behind her and gives her a ticket for being parked in the middle of a freeway. Instead of going to the cemetery, she turns around and goes back home. So this dog thankfully has a collar, and his name is Tucker. Tucker belongs to this guy named Jason, at least that's what it says on his collar. So Sloan calls Jason, except he doesn't pick up. So she sends him some texts, and he doesn't answer. For 2 weeks, every day, Sloan sends Jason call, texts, and photos of what's going on with Tucker. Finally, Jason answers. But why did it take him 2 weeks? See, Jason is a musician, and he's been in Australia. He took 2 weeks off from the world to try and get back into his head and get some music flowing because he needs to write more songs. So he hasn't had phone connection, he hasn't even had his phone turned on. While he's been in Australia on this tour, his friend was supposed to be watching Tucker, except his friend didn't do a very good job. He immediately calls Sloan back and she says that no, he can't have Tucker back. He's been her dog for the last 2 weeks, and Sloan's enjoying life again now with this little dog. And she hangs up the phone on him. And then she calls him back and says, well, prove to me that you love your dog, and I'll give him back. And that starts off this story with Jason and Sloan talking and texting and phone calling, and then he comes back home, and they meet, and they start to fall in love. But Jason's a little bit more than just some starting off musician. He's a little more than that, a little bit more famous, and might even be a musician that Sloane already knows but doesn't realize it. And Sloane, she's still lost in her grief, and while she's finally starting to come back out of it, she doesn't know if she's ready to move on from Brandon, to move on to someone new. But maybe this is her second chance. And maybe for Jason, all of his dreams are finally coming true somehow, all at once. Maybe this can be both of their happily ever afters. The Happy Ever After playlist is a fantastic story. It's fantastically written because Abby Jimenez is a fantastic author. She perfectly blends Sloane's grief with just the right amount of humor to make it lighthearted and not sad, because we don't want romances to be sad. We want them to be meaningful. And that's what this is. That's what this story is, and what The Friend Zone was. They're meaningful stories that aren't just about a girl and a guy falling in love. They've got depth to them, and I like stories that have depth to them. I love that it's dual perspectives, because you know me, I love those. And we see Sloane and we see Jason's perspectives. We see what they're thinking. We see how they're falling for each other, and it's so cute. There isn't really anything I don't like about this book, just like there wasn't really anything I didn't like about The Friend Zone. It's fantastic, and the cover is so beautiful and pink, and there's a dog, and there's this. I loved it so much. I loved. My heart was broken for Sloane with what happened in The Friend Zone, and I wanted her to get her happily ever after. I wanted to see her story. Interestingly enough, this was actually the first book that Abby Jimenez wrote. She wrote this story first before The Friend Zone. But her editor or publisher or whatever said that they thought it would be better to find out, like, how did Sloane get here? So she wrote Kristen and Josh's story first to build up to this. And now we have this. And now we see what happens with Sloane after tragedy she had to face in The Friend Zone. So good. There's a few lines that this might be spoilery, coming up, potentially, a little bit. Maybe I should finish talking about what I liked about it. Oh no, without saying any spoilers, I have told you what I liked about it. I love this book. It is a great romance. If you want to read a meaningful romance novel, read The Friend Zone and then read this, because you will like it. And if you've already watched all of this, you already know part of what happened in The Friend Zone, but whatever, you should still read it. It's more meaningful if you don't know that Brandon dies. But if you've already watched all of this, still read The Friend Zone and then read this, because it's so cute and it's such a good story for this time right now when things are going kind of crazy and we just need a good, meaningful, heartwarming story. And Abby Jimenez is a fantastic writer, and I can't wait to see what comes next. So now I'm going to talk some stuff that might be a little spoilery. This isn't really that spoilery. Little less than halfway through the book, Sloane, she's starting to fall in love. She's starting to get her life back. And she says she's actively going to pursue joy. And I love that, because grief, it can be overwhelming. It is overwhelming. It changes people. When you've lost someone you love, you can't be the same. You're never going to be the same. And you can stay in that grief for a long time, but you don't have to. If it's up to you to choose to come out of it. And it's a process. It takes time. But when you make that choice to actively pursue joy, life will start getting better, and you'll start coming alive again. And as Sloane says, she'll stop being stuck in this in-between, because that's where she's been these 2 years. She's in between, from her life with Brandon to her life that comes next. Alright, there is one thing that I do have a little bit of a problem with, but that's just like a thing in general. It's like people fall in love so darn fast in these stories, which, you know, I guess is kind of cute. But like, Jason buys a ring, like, I think 2 months after he started meeting her. But then again, I have a friend whose parents like got engaged on their like 3rd date, or like 3 weeks after they started dating, and they're still together. So maybe it does happen. It's cute. I guess it's not totally realistic. I guess it's not totally unrealistic now that I think about it. And I mean, I sucked all the air out of the room from happiness because it was really sweet and I was really happy for them, and I did actually gasp. I gasped so much from the story. And then I think my favorite line is about Tugger. It's about this dog who got out of the house of the person who was supposed to be watching him, but ran off to New York. And of all the ways he could go, he finds Sloane and he jumps into her car, and Jason says to Sloane, "Tucker knew it. He took one look and he saw the other half of me inside of you and brought you home." And I thought that was just so sweet because, you know, dogs, I'm telling you, dogs have a 6th sense about things, and dogs see things that we can't. And I would not doubt it in the least if dogs could look at people and see who belongs with who. The story ends, it's such a happy story, and this is really where the spoilers are. It's a happy story that ends with just everybody getting their happy ending, and Kristen and Josh get their happy ending with the big family that they both always wanted and Kristen didn't think she'd ever have, and Sloane and Kristen get to raise babies together and they're living in the same place, and it's just all wonderful and everyone gets a happy ending, and we need more happy endings. Unfortunately, our world isn't like a storybook where everything works out. But then again, everything doesn't work out in this story either. The way that Sloane gets to her happy ending is through a lot of heartache. And I think we all need to remember that sometimes, is that our happy ending is out there, but it's gonna take a little bit for us to get to that, and we're probably gonna have to go through some heartache, some hardships before we get there. But that doesn't mean we aren't gonna get that happy ending. We just have to wait for it. We have to be patient. And we have to actively pursue joy on our way to it. The Happy Ever After playlist is out now. Please buy it. Please buy The Friend Zone. Please read this book. Tell me what you think of it, because it's absolutely wonderful. It makes my heart happy. I look forward to reading whatever Abby Jimenez comes out with in the future. It sounds like their story, Sloane and Kristen and Josh and Jason and all of them, I think their story is over. Just a little sad, but also I'm just happy that they're all happy. But I look forward to what she will write next. It looks like she's gonna have something coming out next spring. Her next book's coming out next spring. And I can't wait for that. The Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. A fantastic romance novel. A fantastic, meaningful romance novel that will make you happy. It will make your heart happy. And it will look really nice on your shelf because look at how beautiful it is. It's beautiful. Let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know if you might check out this book, because I really hope you will. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like listening to me talk about books, please subscribe to my channel, because this is what I do. If you aren't following me on Twitter, please follow me on there at Sophie's Book Nook. In the event that I have to mark a video made for kids, you'll want to be following me on there to be sure you know that I made a video. And I think that is it. So I will see you guys next time. Bye!